Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to do a little tutorial that had been requested in my coloring group. If you're interested in my Facebook coloring group, I'll have the link posted for you down in the description box. But today we are going to be working in Worlds Within Worlds. I got this coloring book a couple weeks ago, and it's usually not something that I color, or my style, I guess you would say. And I don't know, I kept seeing pictures in it, and I was just really drawn to it for some reason, and it was so popular and everybody was really enjoying it. So I purchased the book, and just this last week or last weekend, we scheduled a few coloring along events in my Facebook group, and this is one of the pages that was included as one of the choices, and I decided, well, let me go ahead and just start this one. And I posted my work in progress to the group today, and it was asked if I could do a demonstration on how I blended to come up with these gorgeous petals. And so I am going to show you that today. First, I'm going to try and open this window over here and see what happens to the lighting, because I'm not sure the lighting looks too great. Oh, that might be better. Hopefully you all can see. But first, let's talk about which pencils I'm using. I am going to be using the Salmon Pink. It's PC 1001. And the next one I'm going to use is Raspberry, PC 1030. I'll be using Delilah Purple, PC 1009. Hopefully you can see that. I'm really going to have to do something about my lighting. Again, I'm all new to this YouTube thing, so just bear with me. I'm sure it'll get better. Okay, and then for my shading, like most of you know that are in my Facebook group, I love to utilize my grays to add depth to anything that I color. And so the two grays that I chose were this 50% warm gray, which is PC 1054. And then I have PC 1056, which is the next step up, the 70% warm gray. Now, I want to explain the reason I'm using warm grays, and that is because whenever you're using colors such as these, like reds and oranges and colors of those tones, those colors are warm colors. Whenever you want to emphasize a warm color with shadows and depth, you always have to go to a warm gray. And likewise, when you're using cool colors, that's when you utilize the cool grays. So I'm going to do just one petal for you guys, and hopefully that, because they take quite a while, so I don't know when I do this video if I'm going to have to kind of zoom through a little bit of it as I go so that you could see exactly what I did, or if I'll have to stop and start, or we'll figure this out. But I want to make it as easy as possible for you all to try on your own. And let me see which petal I can do so that you guys can see it well enough. And I think probably this petal here will be good. And maybe we should zoom in a little bit. Okay, so what I did first is I come in here. When you're holding your pencils, always hold them to the side and use light pressure. The only time you're going to use a harder pressure is when you want to put down more pigment and you're getting towards the end of whatever it is you're coloring. So right now I just want to add, I'm calling this my highlight color, because when I color, I really enjoy making things kind of pop by adding. See how I did this, used this salmon pink to add like a highlighted look to the picture? It really makes things stand out when you do that. This little bug here that's sitting on the leaf, I'm really not going to worry about him. I'll just kind of color around him and work him in. And then when I come over here on the outer side of the leaf, I'm going to do the same thing just over this area here and maybe right in here. So now that I got my base color down, which is my highlight, we got to get in here. The leaf goes all the way in here to the inside of the roller coaster, and actually in here too. But I think I have enough of this base color down. Then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to get my, that was the salmon pink, just in case you were wondering. But now I'm going to come in with my raspberry, which is the PC 1030. And I am just going to add some color in. And I'm doing this very lightly. And if you notice, one of the reasons I love this coloring book is because of his artwork. And if you'll notice, there's a lot of lines. And it really helps me to know where to place the pigment from the pencil and the certain colors depending on the look that I'm going for. So I'm just kind of adding this in certain places. Now where I get really close right here, see where this line is and the petal is kind of flipping upward? I like to keep this white because later on I am going to go over it with my white pencil, just like I did. You can see here that I went over it with white, and it just kind of adds a little bit extra highlight as well as a little bit more depth to kind of make this stand out and look darker. Because if you were picturing the sun hitting this picture, it would hit more so here, but not on the outer side of the leaf that is turning up. Okay, I'm gonna turn my coloring book a little bit and still try to stay in frame, because sometimes I really need to just turn my book to get my hand in the right place to be able to get this done right. But I'm coming in now with my Delilah Purple, which is the PC 1009. And in these areas where we are closest to like the roller coaster and what is this one by the roller coaster? Yeah, the roller coaster and some of these buildings here where we are very close to things and there is something laying behind those things where the other things are going to come to the forefront. You want to make those parts darker. So that's where you're going to come in with your darkest color and just go in very lightly. Now look at that. Isn't that awesome? Look how it just changed the whole look of it. But I'm going to want this fairly dark. but I don't want to push all at once. I want to keep layering the color in there and not get too carried away, because you don't want to end up with those horrible ridges that are very difficult to get rid of. So like right here too, where it's touching the roller coaster, but I want the roller coaster to seem as though it's behind. I am going to make sure I get plenty of pigment in there. So now I'll come back with my raspberry, and if I go over this, it's going to make it darker, but not only is it going to make it darker, but it also changes the color to the color that I'm looking for. That makes it really stand out. And when you're blending colors together, you blend for different reasons. Sometimes you blend because you want to see the two colors going from one color to the next. And sometimes you can blend your colors by putting one over another, and it actually changes the whole color and the look of what you're trying to do, which is what I'm doing here. This is pretty tedious and does take quite some time, so you just really need to be patient. See how I'm kind of adding to this right here, because you've got the lines holding up the roller coaster. And so that means it would be more shadowed in these areas. And I just always try to not rush and go fairly slow, and I have a lot of patience, because when you put all this time into a project like this, you just don't want to rush, because you don't want to mess it up and then have to go back and try to fix it. I'm going to come back with my salmon pink, and I'm going to kind of blend this out. And notice the motion that I'm going in. The same motion that I did when I laid the other colors down. And that is because if I go this direction with the pencil, then I am going to make those colors all just blend together in the way that I don't. I want this highlight color to really stand out, so I want to be able to see it. So that is why I'm going to do it like that. And then same for here too. In here, it's okay if it kind of just blends in, but putting this highlight color over this, it just kind of changes the color and brightens it up. And then right in here. Okay, so see, that was pretty easy. And we have the same effect as we do on these other two petals now. And then if I came back in here and did this right here, this just kind of, using the white, just kind of blends it in. And And I really kind of like right here where there's this little bit of white. It just gives it a little more emphasis. Okay, so where are we going now? Let me see here. We have to come to the other side of the roller coaster. Let me do it like this. And as you can see, I am just hardly pressing, and I'm coming in from the side, holding my pencil sideways without using a lot of pressure. And then I'm going to come back in with my raspberry. And I'm going to kind of pull this out with the raspberry. Sorry, I'm not talking a lot because I'm just trying to concentrate. So that I don't mess up. I'm going to do the same thing here. Just like that. And then I'm going to come back in with the raspberry. And I'm going to do it again. And like where these lines are that the artist put in there, I like to just kind of emphasize these in certain places. And that is what is going to make it really stand out. Like right here, there's another one. And doing that really just makes all the difference in the world. And I could come back in with this one, the Delilah Purple. And like I said earlier, this part right here that is kind of flipped out, we are going to do that a little bit different. But when we come down here, we want to make sure that we don't make this too dark right along this line, because we want this section here to be darker to emphasize the way that the sun may be falling in on this picture. You just kind of have to imagine it to determine, but I would assume that the leaves that are flipped up would be darker because the sun is not hitting my picture from the other side. And so the leaf that is flipped up actually has more shadow on it, hence making it darker. So what I'm going to do right here, where the turnip of this leaf starts, is I'm going to come in here with my darkest color and it's okay in this case to use a bit more pressure. Okay, so that was the Delilah Purple PC 1009. And then I'm going to come back over it with the raspberry. Zoom you guys in a little bit more. Let me see. That works. Coming back in like this with the raspberry to go over it, to try to just change the color a little bit, because I want a very dark shadow right here. And then I kind of use these lines that is in the artwork to give it a little bit more detail. And all up here where it meets the other part of the petal, this is all going to be much darker. So I'm going to come back in with the Delilah purple and make this much darker. I don't want to push too hard though on the lead. Because like I said before, I don't want to get too much of that pigment down there. Like I said before, I am sorry for not talking a lot, but I'm trying to concentrate so that I don't mess this up. See how I'm just leaving a little bit of space here so that I can come back with my highlight color. So now I'm coming back in with the PC 1001, which is the salmon pink. And I'm just going to kind of use a little bit of a harder pressure and try to bring all of this together. Probably should sharpen my pencil. In case you're wondering, this is the pencil sharpener that I use, and I love it. It gives your pencil a really great lead, nice and sharp, and you have the ability to choose the different lead settings. If you go to like 1 or 2 on here, then it will give you a much shorter lead using less of your pencil. But lately I've been using 4. And see, now my lead is nice and sharp. And I could get into these little small spaces over here. Notice how it just kind of blends it all in nicely. And again, I'm going back and forth in the same direction as the way that I placed the other colors, because I don't want to bring these colors in this way where I really just want the highlights to stand out. And then we got to come back here to this part of the leaf that folds over. Now I'm going to show you my, I don't know if I want to call it a trick or what, but the way that I am able to add more shadow, making any color look darker. But I'm going to come in with this gray, which is the 50% warm gray, and it's PC 1054. Hopefully you can see that. And then like right here where it's already fairly dark, I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to go over this, not pushing too hard. But see how it makes it even darker? And this is what's going to help create the effect that I'm looking for. But I use grays for this all the time. And then I'm going to come back in with my Delilah purple. And I'm going to go over it again, pushing just a little bit harder. And I probably want a little bit less on the highlighting effect on this side, because naturally where it's flipping up I'm not getting as much sun. And then I could come in with even a darker gray. This is the 70% warm gray, and it's PC 1056. And I can come in here, not pushing very hard because this one is pretty dark, but I'm going to come in here and make this even darker. And see, that gives it the look that I was looking for. And then I'll come in over here where I want it to be just a bit darker, and I just kind of turn my pencil to the side and use very light pressure and add a little bit of the gray in there. I think I'm going to come back with the lighter gray, the 50%, because that one might be a little bit too dark for that area. I'm going to pull it out a little bit with this one. Put a little in here. And then over here where I want it all to look its darkest. And then I'm just going to blend it a little bit to kind of pull that gray out so that way it doesn't look tacky. Because you don't want it to look gray. You want it to resemble the colors that you're using. And the only area that I have to finish is to kind of come in here and make these darker. The tip of the petal. And then I'll probably come in here and use the gray again. I always try to get rid of all of the white space so that it looks nice and smooth. Now I'm going to sharpen it first, but I'm going to take my white, just the pure white, which is the PC 938, and let me zoom in here a little bit more. I am just going to come around some of these areas. And remember, you don't want to pull the color in. If anything, you want to go this direction, because you kind of want a very faint white line right here, separating the petal turning up from the rest of it. And then I could come back in and see how I'm just kind of pulling things through. Here's another space over here where I wanted to kind of keep it white to separate the petals. Now, after you go through it with your white, it will sometimes lighten it up. So if you want to come back with your darkest of the colors that you were using, yeah, for me it was this Delilah purple. I don't know if you can, camera's not zooming in, it doesn't like me, but it's 1009. So you can come back and put that darkness back in. In the places where you want it. And I think I have a pretty good blend now. But yeah, now you see why it takes me so long to work on my coloring pages. But yeah, that's exactly how I want it, and I think it's done now. But that is how I blended it together to give each one of these petals that look. And I'm gonna work on trying to finish some of these up, but hopefully that helps y'all. But that's the finished product. And if you're interested in joining my Facebook group is called Exploring Prismacolors for Aspiring Colorists. You could just search that on YouTube, and I'll also add a link down in the description, and you can join us. And we're always sharing all of these beautiful Prismacolor combinations. I come up with new ones all the time. I always post them to the group and always share my work. And it's very active. We already have over 700 members. So if you'd like to join us, we would love to have you. I hope y'all have a great day.